For our 5.4 additional practice, we're going to be doing a couple problems. And if you can do these on your own, great. Skip the video, but if you need help, you want to come back to this video. So I'm going to help you set up the problems. I'm going to set them up two different ways. You're going to have to do the math though. So this says Dean washed 3 cars and earned $20. So the two things I'm comparing are cars and money. So we have cars and money. So we're setting it up. I have 3 cars and 20. And I need to figure out how much money will he make after he washes 60 cars. So I have my cars on the top. So I want to put my 60 here and I'm looking for the money he will make. So a couple things, I do notice that 3 can go into 60. So if I know that, I can just do the same thing to 20. So that's one way you could do that problem. We can also take 3 cars with $20. And I'm trying to look for 60, but I could find 1, right? So I divide by 3, and then I have to divide by 3 here as well. So 20 divided by 3 goes in there, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So 16 or 6 times, which is 18 with 2 left over. I'm going to make it a decimal. Goes into 26 times. This is just going to go on forever. So we're just going to say 6.66. And then to get from 1 to 60, I times by 60 and I times by 60. So there's another way I could do it. So this one, 3 can go into 60 nicely. And I can just do the same thing here. Or I can find the 1 and apply it. Or one other way you could do it. So I set it up, 3 cars is $20. How much is 60? How much money will be? And I want the money all by itself. I can do 20, so I'm moving this over here. Opposite of divide is times, so 20 times 60. And then I divide it by 3 will also give me that answer. So you can choose one of those ways to do that problem. The next one says that Nina found 4 seashells in 6 minutes. So I have seashells and minutes. 4 seashells, 6 minutes. If she continues at that rate, how long will it take her to find 18 seashells? So seashells is on the top here. So I'm looking for the minutes. So 4 does not go nicely into 18. If you do know how many times it goes into 18, you can do the same thing to 6. So that's one way to do it. I can also try and get m by itself. So I move this over here. So I'm doing 6 times 18. And then I'm going to divide it by 4 to get m all by itself. Or another way we can do that problem is I notice these can both be divided by 2. I can make an equivalent ratio of 2 and 3. And then I notice 2 can go into 18, so I can do the same thing here. So there's another way you can solve that problem. So go ahead and find out how many minutes it will take her to find 18 seashells. Hey, this one says Tara spent $9.35 on 5 bags of cookies. So we've got money and we've got bags of cookies. So $9.35 for 5 bags. 3 of the bags were for her friend though. So how much does her friend owe for 3 of the bags? So I want to know the price of 3 bags. So I'm looking for the price of 3 bags. So one way I can do this is I can move the 3 to the other side, right? Opposite of divide is times. And I can do $9.35 times by 3. And then divide it into the 5 pieces to get the money all alone. I can also, when I have that set up, so I can take my $9.35 for 5 bags, and I can figure out how much it is for 1 bag. How do I get from 5 to 1? I divide by 5. Divide $9.35 by 5. Then once I know how much 1 bag is, then how do I want 3 bags. How do I get from 1 to 3? Well, I times by 3 and times this 1 bag by 3. So a couple ways and you should get the same answer there. So you can either find the 1, that simple ratio, and apply it, or we can just find the money all by itself by moving the 3 to the other side. Okay, next we have Penny made $91. We're talking money in 7 hours at Kent's as a cashier. So we have money and hours. It took $91 for 7 hours. How much money will she make in 13 hours? Hours is on the bottom. So I'm looking for her money after she does 13 hours. So notice no matter how I'm doing this problem, we always set them up the same way. We have to have our labels and what we know. So 7 does not go nicely into 13. So I could, find the 1. If I know 7 to 1, I can divide by 7. So I can do 91 divided by 7. Then to get from 1 to 13, we times by 13. So I'll take how much she makes in 1 hour and times it by 13. So, what we do to one, we do to the other. I can also take these, the $91 in 7 hours, and I can get the money all by itself by moving the 13 to the other side. Opposite of divide is times. So 91 times 13, and then we'll cut it into 7 groups, and we'll get the money made there. Okay, next we have 2 parts here, A and B. So this one, you have to find the hour, 1, and then apply it. So we have 210 kilometers. They go, and it takes 3.5 hours. So the things I have are kilometers and hours. So 210 kilometers, and that's 3.5 hours. So we could write this as a fraction, and I can do 210. Well, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me finish setting up my problem, and I want to know how many kilometers they go in 1 hour. So I need to divide by 3.5, divide by 3.5. So I can do this here, and that's 6 plus 1 is 7 over 2. And I can copy dot flop that. Or my other option is I can just divide it and use decimals. Half of a whole is 0.5, and I can divide by 3.5. We have to move our decimal to the back. So we have to match that and move it here. So it's really 2,100 divided by 35. You need something above the 2, the 1, the 0, and the 0. So either way, you can do it fraction or decimal to get A, how much they go in 1 hour, right? We have to divide by 3.5. Now it wants us to know how far can they go in 8 hours. So once we know this part here, right, this is times by 8, take this here, and times by 8 to match it. Okay, one more problem we have here. So they're making $7.20 for 6.5 hours. So we have money and we have hours. So $7.20, 6.5 hours. So I notice this is in decimals, this is in fractions. We can change them to each other, but we can't use both of them at the same time. It's going to be easier if we change it to decimals. So I'm going to say that, this is really 6.5. Those are equal to each other. So this wants to know per 1 hour. So how far can they go in 1? So we're dividing by 6.5, dividing by 6.5. So as we set that up, we have 6.5 here, but I have to move it to the back to make it a whole number. So I have to move it here. So I'm really doing 65 into 702. My decimals here. So I should have 3 things, then the decimal, possibly one other thing if it doesn't go in there perfectly. So here is that setup. So once we know the 1, that's going to tell us how much they make in 1 hour. Then we can take that and apply it to the 80 hours. So 1 to 80, we have to times by 80. So how much they make in 1 hour, we'll do the same thing and multiply by 80 there. So we have lots of ways to get to the same answer here, right? We can find the one. So we found the one and then give it to the other one. Or we can try and find what we need all alone by moving that to the other side. Sometimes it's even just simplifying it to find a number that can go into that other one. So lots of ways to do the same thing, but they all start with setting up your problem and making sure you have those labels.